Hello, it's Kim,
And I'm Denise.
and we are
It's Real.
Join us as we bring the Bible to life.
And discover Jesus in both the Old and New Testament.
Hey, hello, I'm Kim.
And I'm Denise.
And this is
It's Real.
Yes, it is. Woohoo! We're continuing on through Genesis, and we're in 14 today.
Yes, we are. And we're going to do Genesis 14, 1 to 13. I'll start reading. And it came to pass in the days of, forgive all of these names, Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of the nations, that they made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shenabar, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, we're going to call him the Big Cheese, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, the Big Cheese, Chedorlaomer, and the kings that were with him came and attacked the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and Zuzim in Ham, the Amim in Shevev, Kirathaim, and the Horites in their mountain in Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En Mishap in the Kadesh and attacked all the country of the Amalekites and all the Amorites who dwelt in Hazazon Tamar.
And the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar, went out and joined together in the battle in the valley of Siddim against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of the nations, Amraphel, king of the Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar. 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of asphalt pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled. Some fell there, and the remainder fled to the mountains. Then they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their provisions and went their way. They also took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram, the Hebrew, and he dwelt by the terebinth tree in Mamre, the Amorite brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and they were allies with Abram.
There's a lot of names there. Thankfully, we're not going to be tested on this
Thank
because
goodness.
I wouldn't get the spelling right or anything else. It would be pretty bad. But anyway, so basically what we got here is we have, this is like the first military campaign talked about in the Bible, and also the first time that we're seeing non-Hebrew names.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, a couple of firsts here. So we got 9 kings, the 4 in the north, so they're in Babylon, the Babylonian region. That's kind of where everybody started, so that's where the Garden of Eden would have been, and that's where Shinar, Mesopotamia was, right up there in the north. So we had these 4 kings, and they were collecting tax and tribute from the 5 kings in the south for 12 years.
Oh.
And eventually it wore on them. It wore on the southern kingdom, the southern kings.
They said enough of this.
Enough of this, and they stopped paying. So the 4 kings in the north decided to go on down and see what was going on. So they're really clever. So they're in the north, and they decided that they would come down on the east side of the so the Jordan Valley. It's a valley because there's mountains on both sides. So they came down on the east side of the mountains there, so they could not be seen. And as they went ahead and they conquered the little kingdoms that were there, and the little kings that were there.
Yes. Okay.
So they were wiping out any allies that could possibly come to the aid of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah. So that's what they did on the way down. And it's interesting because God used that military campaign to clear the land of inhabitants, and Abraham's descendants and family will settle in each one of those areas. So, yeah. And, Lot too, and his family. So that was all happening. Of course, God is pretty thorough when he does things. And then verses 10 to 12, the southern kings, they're forced to come out and do battle, but they don't have any allies. So they're like looking over the walls. They're like, nobody's coming to help us, so
we're in trouble.
We're gonna save our own skins. We'll just leave the people to whatever. So they ran, and yeah, so they ran out, and some of them fell in the tar pits. So this is the thing with this naturally occurring asphalt, this tar pits, is that you would run out into there and you would slowly sink. It would swallow you.
Oh.
Not cool.
No, that sounds scary.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of like that quicksand.
Yeah. Yeah, but these are probably hot. Yeah. Anyway, and then the other kings, they headed to the mountains. That's probably where I would want to go, mountains instead. Anyway, so the Babylonian kings, they all came into the city, and they took everything, took all the spoils, and they took Lot's family as well. But God was faithful, and he allowed a man to escape the battle that was there, and he ran to Abram. And he said, hey, your nephew, now I've been calling him cousin all this time. I was wrong. It's a nephew. Your nephew has been taken, he and his family. So,
wow.
And of course, Abram's like, no, he probably wasn't like that.
He probably was at first like, for real? Again?
Come on.
All right, let's go get him.
That's right. So the man calls him a Hebrew. Calls Abram a Hebrew. So this is the first time that any person has been called a Hebrew. And culturally, this was used culturally at that time and at that place to identify Abram as being different. He wasn't like them. And they called him a Hebrew. And of course, remember that, Hebrew came from an ancestor named Eber. We read about that a couple weeks ago. But Abram had become rich and powerful, and Lot had leveraged that relationship in kind of getting in with people. Like he was name dropping Abram because people knew Abram. He lived out there in the wilderness, and he was powerful, and people respected him, and he had money, riches, whatever that looked like.
He had a lot because there was so much they had to split the land.
That's right. So Lot was probably name dropping. Yeah, I'm related to Abram. So they knew that he was related, and it's interesting that Lot used his uncle's name, Abram, to gain favor and also to kind of make himself special. Yeah. But he was trying to live in two worlds at one time. Lot was. Yes. He was trying to, I'm related to Abram, but I'm with you people.
I'm living in Sodom and Gomorrah.
That's right. So Matthew 6:22 to 24 has something to say about that.
Matthew 6:22 to 24. The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon.
All right. So
he was split. He was living in a society and wanting to dwell in that area.
mm-hmm.
It wasn't like he had other options, but that was where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So he was trying to serve too.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm kin to Abram, but I'm living the way y'all do, and it's just not going to work because Lot had been declared righteous because of his faith. So we have two righteous men here. We have Abram and Lot, and they're both suffering the consequences of disobedience in different ways that they disobeyed.
Yes.
Abram, he brought Lot, and he was instructed to leave his family and his land and to follow God. But he brought Lot, and then when Lot is taken by the Babylonians, they weren't called that yet, but that's where they were from. Abram is drawn into the battle, into the conflict. Yes, now he's got to go rescue Lot, and we're going to read about that later. And then Lot, he chooses to live with the pagans, and he's taken. Yeah.
That's what happened.
So, the contrast between Abram and Lot, there is a contrast, and it's very applicable to our lives. So Abram, he stayed in the tents and he stayed in the wilderness, and he worshiped God. He was seeking after God. And Lot, he actually moved close to the city first, kind of in that area because it was lush and green. And then he's like moving closer and closer, and finally he's in the city in the midst of all the pagans, and he isn't following God anymore. He's really trying to ingratiate himself into the world, into the city, the culture that he lives in. 2 Peter 2:7 and 8.
2 Peter 2:7 and 8. And although he was trying to ingratiate himself, the word said that the Lord delivered righteous Lot, who was oppressed by the filthy conduct of the wicked. For that righteous man, dwelling among them, tormented his righteous soul from day to day by seeing and hearing their lawless deeds. Mm-hmm. And if the Lord took him out of there, then the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust under punishment for the day of judgment. Mm-hmm. So the Lord took him out of there.
Yeah. And, he lived there, but he felt the heaviness, and he felt oppressed because he was righteous. Yeah. So that's it for the day.
Oh. But I think a lot of us Christians today can even relate to that. Because we look at the world and we feel that heaviness for those who don't know the Lord and the ways that they follow in the world.
Yeah. I've known a lot of people through the years where they call themselves Christians, and they're still really like living like unbelievers, and they feel the weight. They feel the weight of that. And they're always under conviction because God is faithful to convict.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
How wonderful we have a Father who loves us that much.
That's right. He's going to draw us back.
What a blessing.
Yep.
Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
If you want to know if it's real, then
admit you're a sinner. Romans 3:10. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one.
And as it is written in Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God.
Believe that Jesus is Lord. Romans 10:9-10.
Because if you confess with your mouth that the Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved.
And call on the name of the Lord. Romans 10:13. For whoever calls in the name of the Lord shall be saved. If you enjoyed this episode,
like, subscribe, and share.
you can contact us at
contactitisreal@gmail.com.